Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. A couple of figures. Here we have the Hasbro Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves Golden Archive Wave 3, I guess it is. Here we have the Doric figure and the XENK figure. So Doric is the only character in the movie that's actually going to have two figures because we have Doric and then we have the Owlbear. So it shouldn't be a spoiler because the Owlbear figure is labeled as Doric, and I think in one of the trailers it may show her kind of transform. But here we have the latest figures in the Golden Archive line. None of the monsters have come out yet. So the Owlbear and then the lore Owlbear and the lore Xanathar, those haven't released or anything like that. I can't wait for the Doric Owlbear to come out. That thing's going to be amazing. I can already tell. But with the Golden Archive figure, so I was never planning to get these Dungeons and Dragons figures until I saw the movie. I saw the movie and I was blown away. The movie was really damn good. It was so funny. It had all kinds of actions, full-on adventure. A good story. It was just a really good movie. Like, it's such a fun watch. I'm like, man, figures for this will be really cool. And really, it's because the Gelatinous Cube deluxe thing that Hasbro made, as I kind of slide that in here, this thing is really cool. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? That would be cool to display. Maybe put some of the figures inside of it. That'd be cool. But anyway, the first wave of figures, peg-warm. Bad, right? Nobody wants the figures, and I think rightfully so. Like, who initially went in like, oh, I gotta have those figures, and I think it was, after the movie came out that, people are probably showing more interest. The XENK figure wasn't in wave 1. Why would the main character, Chris Pine, not be in the first wave of figures? What was Hasbro thinking with that? I have no idea. Makes no sense to me. So this was like a wave 2 figure. And the waves are kind of weird because they just kind of get, spread out however they do or whatever. But we're rounding it out now with Doric and XENK. They don't actually get any pre-orders to go along with them. But Entertainment Earth had the case that had these two new ones in there, and it did come with an XENK. So I had to replace my XENK's arm. So I'm like, you know what, let me just get that case. And then I returned the broken arm one to Amazon. So we have them now. So that's how I got them. So I know a lot of folks are going to like, where did you get them? Amazon had them for an extremely short amount of time. They sold out super fast. But I'm glad I have them. But anyway, let's get into it. Looking at the artwork for XENK and Doric, they look really cool. You can see the figures right there in the front. We get the Honor Among Thieves package logo there. The side artwork is the same as from the front. We do get some bio information actually on the side of the box. So for Doric, it says a shape-shifting tiefling druid who makes her home with the elves of the forest. Doric fights to protect the natural world from those who would destroy it. In XENK, a mysterious Thayan who fled his homeland and the evil red wizard who rules there. XENK uses his knowledge and magic to help those around him. I think in the movie they called XENK a paladin, if I'm not mistaken. So here, looking at the back of the package, we get the 3D renders of the figure. It shows their accessories and whatnot. But let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's take a closer look at these figures, and they're pretty good. I think Doric, is probably a little weak in the actress likeness, but the XENK one I actually think looks really good. So let's get in for the close-up looks. Okay, so we're going to start off with Doric because the XENK figure I can't get to stand up, and it's really pissing me off. His feet are really weird. He doesn't have ankle pivot. You just have a swivel and a hinge that you really can't even hinge because of like the shin guards that he's wearing. It's just tough and it's frustrating. He just can't stand. So he's going to be chilling back there. But looking at the Doric figure, I think that the face sculpt looks okay. It doesn't really look like the actress in my opinion. Well, I don't think it's a terrible head sculpt. I don't think it's really good. So that's, a little unfortunate. The horns and the hair look pretty good. In terms of accessories, she has this shoulder piece here. I don't know if that's supposed to be a cape or maybe it's just considered a pauldron or something. I don't know, but that's really all that she comes with. And you can see here how it fits on there. It clips onto her arm and again just goes over her right shoulder according to the picture on the package. I honestly just do not remember this from the movie whatsoever. And I only saw the movie once. Maybe I need to see it again and I would notice. So I'm just going to take it off for now so it doesn't really interfere there. It's not going to really stop the articulation because we just have the single jointed swivel at the elbow. so it doesn't really get in the way. So we'll take a look at that. And then here we have this, and again, I don't remember this from the movie, but you have this little piece here. It's clipped on there. It already comes on there out of the package. As you can see, it just kind of folds down, but some claws or something that she must use, you know, maybe trying to protect herself or whatever the case is. So that's there. And that's it. In terms of articulation, she has, not articulation, accessories. She has this tail. It's on a ball joint, so you can move the tail around. It's not bendy wire or anything. And I think this tail is a lot larger on the figure than it was in the movie. Like, I think she had a very thin tail in the movie, but I think, you know, for a toy, they couldn't do it that thin. It'd be really weird. So I think that's why her tail is so much larger. But looking at the rest of the figure, it looks pretty good. You know, these, you know, padding pieces there on the gauntlets, the brown, dark brown, couple of different shades of green kind of throughout there. The sculpt of those boots there. She does have pinless knees. It's only a single jointed elbow, so of course it's pinless. But yeah, there we go. And then again, we'll take a look at her articulation here shortly. But let's go ahead and get to XENK. XENK looks really good. Aesthetically, this figure is great looking, but it definitely has its problems. When I look at Doric and I look at this guy has like his torso is even more narrow, and so the figure itself should have just been a little bit larger. You know, he has this metal armor piece there. It should have been a lot wider, and unfortunately it's just not. So when you look at it, the torso by itself, you're like, oh, that's really small. When you put the arms to the side and everything, it kind of blends in, so it's not terrible. But, you know, just keep that in mind. The head sculpt is really good. I really like it. I think it's a lot better than the promo images actually show. When looking at this in hand, I'm like, wow, you know what? That's actually really good. That's probably the best out of all of them. As good as the Edgin one is, it still looks like a cartoon version of Chris Pine. This one actually looks a little bit more realistic to an actual live-action actor, so that is cool. The deco and design of the figure is quite nice. You just get this cape, a little bit of gold trim. There's all kinds of deco and things going on in here. The sculpt of it is pretty insane throughout. I mean, just crazy. This guy is pinless. He does have double jointed knees and double jointed elbows, and is fully pinless, as you can see. But you know, the issues that I have with this damn thing are the feet. So the feet don't have ankle pivot, which is crazy that in 2013 we get an action figure with no ankle pivot. We have ankle swivel. Like, how old school is that, right? And then the hinge hardly works, because when you try to hinge it back, you're just almost pulling that foot out of the leg, and then the back of the boot gets in the way, the top of the shin guard gets in the way, trying to hinge it up. I mean, there's a little bit of flex to it, but it just doesn't work out as well as I think they would have really wanted. The boots look really weird the way they designed it, because the shin guard's like a separate piece that's glued onto the leg, and they keyed it in to fit. It just looks kind of funky. I almost would have preferred that the leg and the shin guard would have been all one entire sculpt. And then they just painted, or maybe they thought this was cheaper and easier to do than trying to paint and mess it up. I don't know. It's an interesting design choice, but the ankles just really make him hard to stand, because I can't pivot the ankles to try and balance that out a little bit, and it's very, very difficult to get the hinge on the feet go. Oh, look at that. Holy shit, I got him to stand. I had it earlier, and then I couldn't get it until literally just now to get him to stand again, so that feels good. Anyway, in terms of accessories, he has his sword. That's there here. I don't know if there was a name to the sword or anything in particular, but it looks pretty good. Sculpted detail in the blade, which is nice. As you can see there, hilt is nice gold color. So that is cool. It just sheaths in there on his hip. That's already attached to him. But yeah, there we go. Looks pretty good. So now let's take the look at the articulation of these two. Okay, so Doric, her head is on a dumbbell joint, so we're not going to get a whole lot of movement going down, unfortunately. We're not going to get a whole lot of movement going up, so that kind of sucks. You do get a full rotation in there, and you can get some head pivot going on. The shoulder, you can get to go straight on out. That shoulder pad doesn't really get in the way. It's difficult to do a full rotation, but you could probably work it. I would just say it's probably best to not work it. It looks like there's a little bit of a butterfly joint in there, as you could see, but that's not really going to give you any benefit, like, whatsoever. Like, maybe going back ever so slightly, it's just not a whole lot. But, I mean, it's there, so that's cool. There's no bicep swivel. She has the single jointed elbow, so a swivel at the elbow, unfortunately. It gives us just about a 90-degree bend at that elbow. Wrists swivel, and they do hinge. She has a fist for her left. She has an open hand for her right. It's kind of like a fist, but a little open spot there. It's kind of odd the way they actually have it done. She's on her torso is on a ball joint, so she could tilt to her left a little bit. She could tilt to her right a little bit. She can go back a little bit there, and then she can come forward hardly anything at all. You got a waist swivel, not a waist swivel, but a diaphragm swivel in there. It's hard because this tunic piece is one piece. It's a big rubber piece, and it doesn't really move around, so just a heads up on that. Legs go out that far apart. She can kick forward so far. You have to really force it to get that out of the way. Leg goes back a little bit. You got an upper thigh cut in there. Double jointed pinless knee, which is really nice, as you can see there. No calf swivel or boot swivel or anything, but foot hinges down. You get some hinge up, ankle pivot, pec holes at the bottom of the feet, and then her tail is on a ball joint, so you can move that thing around, or you could just remove it completely, which I did not mean to do. It's soft rubbery material, so it's actually a little difficult to peg back in there. Got it. So you can move it all around like so, and that is pretty cool that you can move that around. So there is Doric's articulation. Now let's go ahead and go on to XENK's. And XENK is on a dumbbell joint as well, so he's not really going to be able to look down. He's not really going to be able to look up. You can get a rotation in there, and you can pivot his neck a little bit also. He has this cape, and the cape does come off. I forgot to show that earlier, so it just pegs on in there. And for ease of going through the articulation, we're just going to keep it off for now. The shoulder goes up that high. The shoulder pad kind of moves with it. Full rotation will be difficult because of that shoulder pad. Now again, here it looks like he has a butterfly joint, but I feel like it's almost similar to like McFarlane toys, where it's just like an extra piece in there that doesn't actually serve much purpose. Like, it tricks you into thinking there's a butterfly joint when there's really not. So that's there, so just a heads up on that. We do get a upper bicep swivel, and we get a double jointed elbow, which gives us that much bend there. His arms are quite thin, especially at the forearm, and I feel like his arms are a little short too. But I think that's overall scale of the figure just seems undersized to me. But anyway, wrist, he does have a swivel. There's not a lot of room in there because of the gauntlet piece that kind of extends over his hand. The hand does have a vertical swivel, which is perfect. Vertical hinge, which is perfect for wielding a sword. Both hands have that, which is good. The diaphragm is on a ball joint at the waist, so XENK can pivot to his left that much. He can pivot to his right that much. He can go back slightly, hardly anything at all. He can come forward, hardly anything at all, very slight as well. You do get a swivel at that waist there. Now here's the trick with it comes to his outfit. His legs can go that far apart, but this like skirt piece is greatly going to hinder the articulation, so his legs only going to come out that much. The leg actually goes back an insane amount, as you can see there, which is pretty crazy. He's got upper thigh cut in there. He's got double jointed knee. Let's see, works out that much. There is no calf swivel, boot swivel, or anything, but again, swivel at the ankle. Hinge that doesn't work because the foot hits the back of the leg. Hinge up that doesn't work because it hits the shin guard. And no pivot. He does have peg holes at the bottom. So again, that's why it is difficult to get him to stand. Holy, how is it now he's standing easy? I had the hardest time throughout the first part of this video. He would just keep falling over. But alas, here we go. He's standing up easy. So maybe I'm just crazy and it's not really an issue. But just a heads up on that. If you can't get him to stand up after a few tries, just give it some time. Apparently he's going to be... Well, see, there you go. He falls now. He got the cape back on there. He's very back heavy because that cape. But there he goes. He's standing up now. So anyway, that's XENK's articulation, and he was an awesome character in the movie. He was very serious, and there was this awesome scene where they're trying to cross a bridge, and he's going on in the instructions on how to specifically cross this bridge. You can't just walk over, right? There's all these different kinds of rules, and you have to step on certain stones and all this and that. And he just went on and on. He was going on and on. It was just the craziest thing. And I would imagine, you know, those are some of the things when playing Dungeons and Dragons that you have to have those specific kind of rules set up for stuff like that, right? So it was funny, and then in Simon, in typical comedic fashion of a movie like that, he just randomly steps on a thing and it just collapses the bridge. but it was hilarious in the movie. Like, if you guys haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend you guys go and watch it. Okay, so for size comparisons, I don't have any of the other figures. I'm really holding out on the long game for Holga, Simon, and Forge. I'm sure I'll be able to get them really cheap. I think on Amazon, like Forge is like $17 or $18.99, and Simon and Holga are $19.99. I'm waiting for even lower because I'm sure they're going to be lower because nobody's buying them in the stores to the point where Edgin's going to be able to, you'll be able to find Edgin in Walmart or Target. You're not going to be able to find Doric and XENK in Target or Walmart at this point. Maybe some stores, I don't know, but they're all filled with Holga, Forge, and Simon. Eventually, I really do plan to get those figures because I think it'll be nice to have representation for the whole movie. And there's not a whole lot of figures for the movie, right? It's these three guys, Simon, Forge, and Holga, 3 more, and then the Owlbear. And then the Displacer Beast that's going to be coming out that's exclusive to Hasbro Pulse. But anyway, these look really good. So XENK we're going to be finished up with, but Doric, I'm going to show you guys something that was from the movie. So again, I've already kind of gone over spoiler stuff, but if you don't want to hear anything else, you know, maybe turn away now. But it has something to do with the Gelatinous Cube, which I'm going to show you guys, which is, I think, kind of cool. So let's get to it right now. Okay, so here we have Doric in the Gelatinous Cube, and if you've seen the movie, you would know that she has, like, she keeps her hand or her finger out so that way when she can shapeshift, she's able to escape the Gelatinous Cube and then pull everybody out of it because, you know, the Gelatinous Cube ends up how they kind of survive the maze and stuff and getting away from the Displacer Beast. So that is really cool. So I'm assuming that this hand portion where you could stick a hand through was really, you know, inspired by the fact that that's what Doric did in the movie. She was the first to go into the Gelatinous Cube or get her hand stuck, which removed the magic dampener or whatever they called it, you know, that prevented her from being able to use magic. So it's cool that, you know, that's what we have here in the movie. So it's just kind of exciting. The Gelatinous Cube is really cool if you haven't gotten it. All these accessory pieces all come off. It's just a fun little thing, and it's a great way for me to be able to display all of my figures from them because they've all been in the Gelatinous Cube with the exception of XENK and Forge. They did not go into the Gelatinous Cube, but Simon, Edgin, Holga, and Doric here were all in it at one time, and that's how I'm going to display that. So I'm really excited to eventually get those figures, but again, long game. But, you know, again, there's Doric in the Gelatinous Cube. Here is the XENK figure. These two, I think, are going to be amongst the hardest ones to get a hold of, simply because distribution at this point, you know, those earlier figures, I'm sorry, I don't see them selling. Maybe they're selling well. I doubt it. I don't know. But these two are probably going to just be eventually easier to get online. You know, maybe keep an eye on Amazon. If they ever come back in stock. I don't know if Entertainment Earth is going to sell them individually. They just had an assortment case. Hasbro Pulse, I would imagine, will eventually have them. Who knows when? There's no real details. They did not do pre-orders on these guys. So it's going to be kind of odd, but just keep an eye out. You guys let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of these two figures? The Doric, the XENK. What do you think of the Gelatinous Cube? Hell, what do you think of the Edgin figure? Let me know what you thought of the movie, because it was awesome. Let me know all in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that join button to become a channel member and be a part of the MCU Collective. And as always, thank you for watching.